Welcome to Breathe, Move, Rest. It's a simple practice, and the fact that you've shown up, you've done the hardest part, right? Sometimes just getting to that space, putting our intention into action is the biggest challenge of any day. So congratulations and welcome. Let's begin with a comfortable seat and a steady, supple breath. Samavriti, even out the two sides of your breath. The inhalation, even with the exhalation. And for me, that's about 4 to 5 counts. We're looking for about 5.5 to 6 seconds for the inhalation and about 5.5, 6 seconds for the exhalation. But matching them, Samavriti is about finding that evenness first. Then you can layer on that lengthening if appropriate. Change up this breath pattern one more time with the box breath, and that is an even timing on the inhale to a pause, holding that breath in, and an exhale, and then hold, staying empty. Now, this breath is appropriate for you, for most of us in this modern world. However, if you've had recent surgery, if you are pregnant or could be pregnant, or even just recently delivered, if you've got any breathing challenge or fear of oxygen and its levels, then just stay with the Samavriti. Otherwise, box breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. In. You can add any length or any count here that feels appropriate for you. Hold. Exhale. And hold. Continue with your pacing. Well done. Let's go ahead and move into our first asana with movement for table pose. Hands and knees or hands and shins. Support from below, stacking the joints above. And move right into some cat and cow. So the belly drops, the chin lifts for cow, arcing the back, cat. Not entirely different in the movement. And yet our intention is going to shift here to the nervous system, specifically the spinal cord. So we're going to walk the arms a little bit longer, and this is called spinal flossing. So as your hips come forward, we're slackening the low back, right, by shortening the distance between the tailbone and the lumbar spine. But we're going to stretch the upper neck and back by dropping the chin to the chest. Reversing this tension to the other end will shift back towards a child's pose. As the hips sink, we cause that stretch over the low back. So this rounding happening in the lumbar, we lift the chin to slacken the cervical spine. Coming forward, once again, lengthen the cervical spine, slacken the lumbar, so as to give just about a 2 millimeter tug up and down of the spinal cord in the spinal column. Slow and steady. When that feels complete, we'll come back to the cat and cow, but we'll add on this movement of front and back. So again, the cat and the cow, with the movement rocking forward and back. So the cow is going to be enhanced by now lifting the chin. The cat enhanced by activating through that mid and low back. More of a hovering child. Forward to this supported hovering of dog. Back to an engaged, rounding, lifting child's pose. 3 more. As you settle back to child's pose, perhaps you tuck the toes under, getting a little bit more of a plantar stretch to the soles of your feet. Now, my feet are still recovering from foot surgery, so I don't have a lot of this dorsal flexion in my left foot. And yet, making this shape is as much an intention and visualization as it is an invitation to express this intention in these limbs. Rising back up to your table, take a couple of breaths to sway the hips, and then moving from that hip sway into about half of a circle or even a horseshoe type of shape, lubricating the connective tissues between the thighs and the pelvis. Go ahead and sink the hips low towards the feet, right?
And this is a relative term. So maybe you're sitting on a bolster. Maybe you have your upper body supported by a bolster. Walk the arms long, spider the fingers up and release, opening the fingers, spider them up and roll out. We're just getting a little movement into the hands, into the wrists, stretching through the forearms. Good. And then turn the palms up and turn the palms down. The head can rest here. My head is lifted mainly so that you can continue to hear my cues, right? If your head wants to rest, by all means, let it rest. Last variation here, we're going to bend the elbows. So you can bring the fingertips together. That gives a little more support. As we draw the elbows into a bend, the hands might literally come back towards the head. Maybe they fold over the head to touch the space between the shoulder blades. Maybe they barely lift off the floor. That's okay. Widen the elbows or narrow the elbows to adjust where that stretch is felt in the underside of the upper arm and around the back to the ribs and the shoulder blades. To release the hands now, take them around to the side body, walking into that curve of the side, into this crescent shape. Take 3 or 4 breaths. And sway, just a bit of a rocking from one shoulder lift to the other, sort of combining a bit of a twist in this lateral extension. As you unwind, coming back to neutral, the hands are just wider than the temples on your head, right? So wide and in line with the head. So you can rock the shoulders, getting a bit of a shoulder circle, up, back, and down. Where's that breath? Side out if there's a lot of congestion, right? Whether it's mental congestion or tissue congestion. Maybe there's some emotional story that you're working through. Well done. Let's take it around to the second side. So go ahead and walk those hands out again. Could be wide, could be parallel, what's comfortable for you. And then take it around into that crescent shape to the other side. 3 or 4 breaths. Good, and a little bit rocking, shoulder dip. This way. Good. And unwind. As you unwind, bring the fingers around. So they're rolling out until they maybe point back to the knees, and give yourself a bit of a pause to stretch. As the arms are stretching, bring the head into a circling, rolling, tilting, figure 8 knot. Oh, I'm having all sorts of snap, crackles, and pops today. But they feel good. As long as there's no pain, that snapping is mainly just the proximity of the joints to your ears, right? Coming up for a moment, if you choose, to downward dog. So again, tuck the toes, set the hips back, walk the hands forward and set those shoulders, meaning hug them in. As those shoulders are hugged in, lift from the belly, straightening the legs towards that downward dog. Now again, I'm one-legged because my left foot is not yet fully returned to function. Find that samavriti breath here, that even in and out, or even returning back to that box breath of in, hold, out, hold. All right, you can pedal out the feet here perhaps, just lifting one heel and then the other, alternating. If that doesn't work for you, right, come on back down to table and do the same concept from our table place. Just getting some lubrication all the way down the leg. Second side. Right, back to the first side. If you're up, come on down, join me in table and roll the ankle. And reverse. And then just like we were rolling the ankle, take that right up into the knee and roll open to the hip. And reverse. And same thing, second side, roll the ankle and then roll the hip. Somewhere between, I don't know, maybe 5 and a dozen, depending on how fast you're moving, how much tension or congestion you might be feeling. To the leg. Reverse it. Good. All right. Go ahead and pop back up to a downward dog if you want that extra effort today. Or come on down, swing your legs around, supporting from the backside and sway the knees. Let that sway of the knees turn into a mermaid reach, wrapping around, unwinding, heart lift, hands press, heart lifts. Reach around the other way, knees, and then the arm. Right. This time as you come back to center, heart lift or a reverse table lift. Lift those hips up. As you come back to the first side with that twist around, maybe you want to add a variation of the lifting to the side body. So I'm going to twist, and then I'm going to come back to that side lift. And back to center. Extend the legs for a reverse plank or reverse table. One more time. And one more heart lift. And then soles of the feet together, knees out. Hands can hold the lower body. Move that flesh out of the way as we come back into a few rounds of cat and cow. Take a twist, stroke, or swim one arm up and over. Pausing in a twist. Unwind.
and bow. Rising up, peel open into that twist, and pause to breathe. Back to the front, this time extending the legs long. Get a bolster underneath the knees is a lovely adaptation, and take it into a bow. Rise up. Same thing with that twisted sequence. This time we're going to bring a little variation into the lower body. So one knee could stand, one knee could fall open, more like we were, or cross it over, bringing it towards a half shoelace, or even a full shoelace, right? Shoelace crisscrossing the knees. Swim up and open. Take that breath. As we unwind, come on back to face forward. Hands can help to hold those feet in place as we take a bow over one or both knees. Good, and rise. Untangle the legs, support yourself from the back side, and reverse, right? One leg long, one leg bent, cross it over, or bind them around. Once you've got the lower body situated, crisscross into that twist and pause. Good, unwind. Again, taking that bow forward since we're only on one leg, or they're alternating, which is on top. You got that stretch on both sides. Well done. Lift yourself up. Untangle the legs. Take a few sways, rocking in the knees. And we'll lower ourselves down to the floor. One last little check-in for the low back and the hips. One knee comes into the body, and the other leg might slide out long. Check in on the ankles with a circle or roll, wiggle the toes, rock or sway the knee. Both knees come in. Hug into a tight little ball. Head lift, shoulder squeeze. And release. Lower the head. Lower leg number one. Keeping leg number two in. Circle and roll. While exploring that extension through the grounded leg. From the ankle, perhaps you sway in the thigh. Bend and straighten the knee as you'd like. And then this time, as both legs come back together, we're going to let them fall open into happy baby pose. So the bottom leg is going to lift up, both knees are going to drop open, and the hands are going to reach towards the feet, or as high towards the feet as they can reach. The weight of the arms brings even more rounding in that lordosis of the lumbar spine. So we're reversing the natural curve. And maybe you want to play with a little bit of a rocking, or a swaying, or lengthening one or both legs. This is our final expression of movement before coming into our Savasana stillness.
Circling my knees, planting my feet to box twist the knees and the elbows a few times. Just one more variation of this twist. And then releasing all effort. Let the body extend and open, finding support where you need it with props or blankets or socks. Come back to that even Samavriti breath in and out. Now, following that Samavriti breath helps you maintain this steady stillness. Then continue that focal point for your mind. Or if you're feeling very heavy and restful as it is, let go of the breath control and let the body relax even more deeply. Ready to return to your day, wake up by gently inviting movement into the limbs, repeating anything that you've done earlier, or maybe there's an intuitive desire of what the body wants to do, to move, to reanimate. Rolling to the right side is our traditional, our classic way of holding on to this restful mindset, this ease of our parasympathetic nervous system. Even as we rise all the way to our seated shape. Once again, close this practice by way of reconnecting body, mind, and breath. The hands come to rest at the heart. Thank you so much for showing up, for honoring this practice, this tradition, by breathing, moving, and resting with me. May you breathe deeply and move freely. May you labor lovingly and live vibrantly. Namaste. Be well. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.